In order to reset your life in a month, you have to be disciplined. You have to be willing to say no to stuff that is not on this list. The reason people fail with their New Year's goals is that they don't account for the natural transition time that just needs to happen before you can start making progress towards your goals. So whenever you set out to do something, you're going to have an adjustment period. There's just a period of time where you're learning new skills, you are developing new habits, you're becoming the person who is actually in alignment with the life that you want. And that takes time. And if you don't give yourself time to actually transition and get in alignment, you are basically setting yourself up to not achieve your goals. And so what you need to do before this new year starts is create a set period of time where all you're doing is getting your life together for the upcoming year. And if you do this, if you really make time to just reset your life, to get your ducks in a row, to get on a good page before the new year starts, you are going to have a much easier time actually accomplishing all of the goals that you're setting for yourself in 2025. So what I recommend doing is actually taking like a couple of weeks, maybe even up to a month, and just calling that your reset month. That's what I'm doing in December. I'm just calling December my reset month. I am setting specific priorities that I'm going to be focusing on this month. And the whole point of this month of my life is to make sure that I am on track and in alignment for the kind of person that I want to be in 2025, so that I can create the kind of goals that I have for myself in the upcoming year. And so I have 7 things that I want to make sure that you do during this reset month so that it's actually successful, so that by the time this year is over or by the time you're done with your reset month, you are completely ready to step into the next chapter of your life as the version of you who can actually handle making the changes that you desire to make. Habit change is a skill. It's not just as simple as, I'm going to wake up early for 7 days and see what happens. This is about becoming a new version of yourself. And so dedicate an entire month and do these 7 things, and you will actually be the version of yourself who is ready to have the type of life that you want. So the first thing that you need to do for your reset month is to get crystal clear on what you actually want for the upcoming year. So there are going to be all kinds of things, maybe things that have been projected onto you, maybe things that you think that you should want, maybe goals that you had from a past version of you, but they don't really feel in alignment anymore. You need to let all of those things go, and you need to just get very honest with yourself on what would make the upcoming year an amazing year for you. What would make it feel like a win if you were at the end of the upcoming year and you actually felt good about how the year went, regardless of what anyone else was saying, regardless of what other people would be impressed by. And one question that I really have for you on this front is to ask yourself, if no one knew what you were doing, what would you try to accomplish? If you couldn't tell anyone, if there was no social media, if there was just no way for you to let anyone know what was going on in your life, what would you create? What would you focus on? What would you work towards? And when you get honest with yourself and you ask yourself these kinds of questions, it becomes really easy to just start focusing on the things that are going to make you feel like your most authentic self. Focus on the things that are going to make you the most fulfilled, and just let go of anything that you might be doing to please other people or anything that you might be doing because you feel social pressure, and just release all of that. Get very focused on only doing the things that matter most to you. And so that's the first thing you need to do, is before you do anything else to get in alignment or to have your reset month, you need to be very clear what is going to make this upcoming year a win for you, an authentic, genuine win. And then once you have all of that, you can go the extra mile and actually make a vision board to reflect the new version of yourself that you're deciding to become, and really to reflect these authentic goals and authentic desires that you've identified mean a lot to you. Having something in your physical reality to remind you of where you're going and where you are headed for the upcoming year is going to be really important. So you're not just setting these goals and burying them in your journal, but you're actually getting them out in front of you so that you are reminded of them consistently. If you don't want to go through the effort of making a vision board, I also like to write my goals on my mirror, and I have a whiteboard in my home office where I have all of my goals written out as well. And that just really helps keep them in front of me, because at the end of the day, we get bombarded with so much stuff to focus on, and if we don't actively remind ourselves what's important to us, it can easily fall through the cracks. So your first step, set your authentic goals, figure out what you really want and what matters most to you, and then put it somewhere where you will see it, whether that's a vision board or not. Just make sure that you can see your goals. And if you do want to have a vision board for the upcoming year, stay tuned for my vision board tutorial, which is going to be coming out really soon. The second thing that you need to do in order to have your reset month is to heal from the past. So we're coming up on the end of the year, and that can be a complicated time for a lot of people because you might be aware of disappointments, things that didn't work out, goals you set in the past that you haven't accomplished yet, whatever that might be. And you cannot take that with you into the upcoming year, because every time you carry around disappointment, resentment, frustration from the past, you are continuing to train yourself to expect failure and to basically believe that you are a failure. And I know that that might sound a little bit harsh, but our brains take everything very literally. And if you're in the habit of dwelling on what didn't go well and what you didn't accomplish and what didn't come to pass, you are continuing to remind yourself, things don't go well for me. I don't accomplish my goals. I'm not the kind of person who gets what they want. And so you need to heal from that. Like, actually create space in your calendar to do the healing work around whatever it is that you feel pain about from the past 12 months, or maybe even, going back in time, looking at childhood, whatever makes the most sense for you, right? But you need to dedicate some time to doing your healing work during this reset month. So if there's something that you went for that you didn't accomplish, anything that would discourage you, and really anything that would hurt your self-concept, anything that would leave you thinking that you're not going to accomplish your goals, you're not the kind of person who succeeds, and leaves you expecting the worst for the upcoming year, needs to be dealt with and needs to be healed. Some of my favorite ways to heal are yin yoga. I really love it. I set an intention before the practice. I literally click on a YouTube video. My favorite yoga practitioner on YouTube is Yoga with Cassandra. I just do one of her videos. I really like the ones with affirmations. She even has one, yin yoga and affirmations for grief. And obviously grief can be defined in different ways, but grief is not just about, someone passing away. Grief is also grieving where you thought you would be by now, or grieving things that you expected that didn't happen. It's really just like having to reset your relationship with your life because of a big change or because something didn't go according to plan, right? And so I like to use the yin yoga and affirmations for grief video from Cassandra, and that helps me process my disappointment. Journaling is a really good way to process disappointment. And then also prayer. I'm a really spiritual person, and one of the things that I love to do is to just ask God to help me release whatever the disappointing situation may be. I come back to this place of remembering that God really does have it figured out. God knows what's going on with me. God cares about me. God loves me. And God would never let me be in a situation where I wasn't okay and where I didn't have what I needed. And so even if I'm in a situation that's painful, or even if, the way that I expected something to happen, even if it didn't go that way, I can pray about it and I can be reminded that God is taking care of all of it. If something didn't happen, it's because it didn't need to happen. Whatever needs to happen for me to live my best life, for me to be fulfilled, for me to be of service to other people, for me to really be who God created me to be, that's always going to happen. No person, no situation has the power to stop God's purpose for my life. And when I come back to that reminder, my disappointment always fades. And it's important to just know that you're going to be doing this continuously. It's not like you do your healing work for 15 minutes and then you're healed. And I think you understand this depending on who you might be watching this. But your healing work is going to need to be something that you focus on consistently in order to really make changes and see progress. And so if you're not a person who is already in the habit of letting go of past disappointments and healing from the past, this reset month is going to be a time where I want you to actually start doing this 15 minutes a day. Release something, let something go, whether you're going to do a breathwork practice, whether you're going to do a yoga class, whether you're going to journal about it, whether you're going to pray. Whatever it is that you do to heal, prioritize and set aside 15 minutes every single day to release and to clear, to forgive the past, and to let go of whatever would stop you from achieving your goals and being the best version of yourself. So that's a non-negotiable, and you want to start doing that during this reset month if you are not doing that already. The next thing that you want to reset is your relationship with your body. Our bodies have to be on board if we are going to accomplish anything. I don't know if you have tried to be productive on very little sleep, not having enough energy, hungry, dehydrated, but it doesn't go very well. And if you're not taking proper care of your body, then you're not really going to be able to achieve much. And so if you want to make sure that you have the best year of your life next year, you need to get in alignment, not just emotionally, not just spiritually, not just mentally, but physically as well. And so this is going to be different for every person, but for me, what this looks like is making sure that I'm hydrated, just deciding I'm going to be drinking a certain amount of water every single day, making sure I stick to that. Habit stacking too, like sometimes I'll make sure I'm going to drink a certain amount of water before my meal because I know I'm going to eat, and so it's like I put those two things together to make sure I'm drinking my water. Another thing I like to do is right when I wake up, the very first thing I do is I go to the kitchen and I get some water and I sip on that water while I'm doing my journaling and my prayer and like getting ready for the day. And so hydration, big one. Having a healthy relationship with food. A lot of people use food for emotional support. A lot of people use food just to like pass the time when they're bored. And really, a lot of those things come from the fact that our nervous system isn't regulated. But as I've been healing my nervous system and just keeping myself regulated, I have found that my relationship with food has transitioned dramatically to where food at this point, first of all, I love food and I will always love food, and like finding really good food, cooking, making really good food, learning about recipes, that's going to be something that's a part of my life forever. And I'm saying that to tee up what I'm about to say, which is at this point in my life, food is really like a response to hunger. Like when I'm hungry, I eat, and when I'm not hungry, I don't eat. And that change has been so transformative for me because I actually feel like my body and I are on the same page. Like I'm listening to my body is telling me it needs food, and then I'm eating. If my body is not telling me it needs food, I'm not eating. If my body is telling me I'm bored, then I'll go and occupy myself with something. If my body is telling me I'm uncomfortable, then I'll go and do some healing work, or I'll do some journaling, or I'll go on a walk, or I'll do something to address the discomfort. But I listen to my body and I give my body what it needs. And if my body is telling me it needs food, then I use food as a way to be responsive to my body and to take care of it, not as something that I'm doing just like to do it, And so again, this isn't me telling you how to relate to food. This isn't me telling you what to eat or when to eat or any of that, but having an intentional relationship with food is very important if you want to be in sync with your body. And like I said, getting in sync with your body is a really big thing for being able to actually create the life that you want and being able to really be the best version of yourself. And so think about how you can have a healthier, more intentional relationship with food. Drink your water, get enough sleep. I, at this point, have trained myself to wake up naturally, and I also have a schedule to where I don't need to do anything in the morning. And so, not like I would ever sleep in super late, but like I typically wake up between 6:30 and 8 o'clock naturally, but if for whatever reason that doesn't happen, that's okay. And that's what I'm trying to say here. And so that took a while. I had to really practice like going to bed at the same time, having a really good sleep routine, like doing my meditation and my stretching and stuff before bed to help my body wind down. And I got to the point where I can go to sleep, sleep very comfortably, and then I wake up naturally at a time that works for me. This does not need to be everyone's priority. This is just something that I, have done for myself. But the point I'm trying to make here is do not let sleep go by the wayside, no matter how important work might seem, no matter how important it might seem to watch another episode of whatever show you're on or whatever. Remind yourself that sleep is key for everything that you desire. You need to be well rested. You need to have all of your cognitive abilities, right? Your mind needs to be working right. You need to be in a situation where you can function at your best. And in the times in my life where I was sleep deprived, where I didn't have a regular sleep schedule, where I wasn't letting myself actually be regulated in my sleep, even when I was super heavily relying on alarms, there was a season in my life where I was using alarms to kind of force myself to be on a certain schedule when really my body needed to be on a certain schedule, and I wasn't getting in sync with my body and using my body to actually be in line with my goals. It was more like I was using this external thing to force me to get up no matter how much sleep I had had the night before. And when I had to hold myself accountable and say I am going to naturally wake up, that also required me to take responsibility for how much sleep I was getting. Because if I was tired, I was going to stay sleeping. And the only way that I was going to wake up is if I was actually refreshed. And obviously, this is not a whole episode on sleep, and I do understand that there can be reasons why people wake up in the middle of the night, and I've definitely had moments where I was having trouble falling asleep or having trouble going back to sleep, and those have all been a part of my journey. But the point I'm trying to make here and what I'm trying to encourage you to do is really take responsibility for your sleep hygiene and for how much sleep you're getting. And if you are not getting, I would say, 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, do something about it. Learn about it. There were times where I was going to classes on sleep hygiene or watching YouTube videos about it, doing meditations to help myself fall asleep. Take responsibility for having a good night's sleep every night and do what needs to be done so that you can actually have that. So the last thing in terms of getting in sync with your body and getting your body on board with your goals is to make sure that you are moving your body regularly. When I stop moving my body, which really hasn't happened for quite some time now, I've been very consistent with movement and with working out and everything, but let's say 2 years ago, my creativity goes down. I am unnecessarily stressed. My mental health is worse. I also feel when we were talking about processing emotions and letting yourself move through things, I feel the way that I process my feelings is a lot healthier when I'm moving my body. And moving your body is just known to create so many positive benefits that at this point, I would never leave it out. And so for some of you, it's make sure that you're moving your body every day. For others of you, it might be make sure that you're moving your body in a way that actually aligns with your goals. So when I was in my heavy healing era, when I was just moving through a lot of old trauma and just needed to get stuff out of my nervous system, my movement was a lot of yoga, just a ton of yoga to help myself heal. Now, at this point, I do a lot of jogging. I do a lot of, I still do a lot of yoga, actually. I do strength training. I do a variety of things. And that's just because my goals are different at this point. And so make sure that you're not only just moving to check a box, but move in a way that feels purposeful to you. Move in a way that is connected to something that you want, I set the goal to be able to run a 5K, and I started running in the summertime. I want to say May or June. And now I can run a 5K, and I just also fell in love with running, and I run 3 miles 3 times a week, and that really works for me. But the first, initial beginning of my running journey was because I set a goal. I decided I wanted to be able to run a 5K. It was just something that I wanted to be able to do. And setting that goal allowed me to create a habit to support that goal, and now it's just a regular part of my life. So I would encourage, when you're moving, move intentionally and have a purpose behind it, and that will do a lot to actually keep you accountable to sticking with your movement habits, if that is something that you typically fall off of. So if you do these 4 things, if you focus on your sleep, your hydration, your food, and your movement, your body will cooperate with you when it comes time to work, when it comes time to achieve, when it comes time to create, and when it comes time to really put in those hours to become the version of yourself that you really want to be. The next tip that I have for you is to reset your purpose, your career, or your business. Depending on what you do in exchange for money, this is going to look different, but I know that I have a lot of business owners watching and a lot of people who want to have businesses watching, and so I'm going to give a broad, description of how this would look. But really what I want you to remember is that you spend 90,000 hours of your life on work. If you Google how many hours does an adult work, that's what comes up. The average adult spends 90,000 hours of their life working. And so I want you to do work that is impactful and that feels good to you, and that is something that you want to spend 90,000 hours doing. Now, this doesn't mean that every second of your job is going to be exciting and nourishing, but let's get as close as we can, you don't want to spend your life doing something that you hate or doing something that doesn't inspire you or doing something that you are going to have regrets about later. And so what I want you to do in this reset month is actually get honest with yourself and get clear on what you can be doing to get your job, your career, your business closer into alignment with what matters most to you. And so you'll remember in step 1, we set a bunch of authentic goals. We let go of what you were doing for clout or to, appease other people. And we just got clear on what you would focus on if no one would know, what you would focus on if you couldn't tell other people about it, right? And so given all of that, how does your job, your career, your business fit in to the authentic life that you actually want? And if it doesn't, then take some time this month to reorient yourself and actually start moving towards the vision for your business and for your career that aligns with the authentic vision for your life. And I think we can all do this to some extent. Like for me, I feel very aligned in terms of my career. I love my career so much, but there are little things that I could be doing to feel even more aligned, right? And for other people, and this was definitely my past self, you do not like your job. You do not like your business that you build. You do not like the career that you currently have. And if you are in the place where you feel unfulfilled, you're bored, you're not inspired, you're not connected to the work doesn't feel impactful, you are basically only doing it for a paycheck. And I have more to say about that, but one of the things that I really do believe is a strength of mine is that I understand that money can be made in a huge variety of ways, and I don't start believing the lies that there are certain ways to make money and certain ways not to make money. You know what I'm saying? There's people who do all kinds of work and make all kinds of money, and the work you're doing does not have to tie to the amount of money that you make. And so once you let go of that, and once you start to get clear that you can make your desired income doing whatever feels good for you, you can start to take steps to get your career in alignment with how you actually want it to look and feel and be, depending on how you want your life to look and feel and be. And so one of the ways that I want you to do this is actually ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled am I in my career? And just get a number. On a scale of 1 to 10, how fulfilled am I? And then ask yourself, what would need to happen for this to be a 10? And just see what comes up. You can journal through this and just see what would need to happen for this to be a 10. And based on that, you're going to have somewhat of a roadmap for the changes that you need to make for your career to be more fulfilling for you. And this isn't going to be a moment where you're going to start victimizing yourself and telling yourself, well, if this person would act different, or if this person would do this for me, or if this would stop happening, or if this would start happening. This has nothing to do with other people. We're focusing on what's in your control. You have a sphere of influence here about your career. And so there's likely going to be things that you can change about how you're spending your time, how you're showing up, that are going to align you with a career that is more fulfilling for you, or that are going to let you change your career and tweak the career you already have so that it is a better fit for you. But that is likely going to require you to expand. That's going to require you to learn new skills that you don't already have. That's going to require you to start making connections with different kinds of people that might not be in your circle right now. And so over this reset month, once you have clarity on where you want your career to go, you need to start making connections with people who are in the field you want to be in, or who have the skills that you want to have. You need to start taking courses and reading books and learning about how to be the kind of person who does the work that you actually want to do. And you need to go on that journey of actually transforming yourself so that you can be a good match for the career that you want. The next thing I have for you is to do a wardrobe reset. Now, your clothes say a lot about who you are. And I'm not even saying this to say that you're dressing for other people. You're not. You're dressing for yourself. And every time you put on clothes in the morning, you are telling yourself who you are, what you think of yourself, and where you're going. And so dress in a way that aligns with your higher self. Dress in a way that aligns with the future that you want to have. And there's no specific way to do this. And it honestly is going to come very intuitively. But one of the things that I want you to do this month is go through all of your clothes and just ask yourself, would my higher self wear this? Would my higher self wear this? Would my higher self sleep in these pajamas? Would my higher self work out in this outfit versus that outfit? Would my higher self go to work in this? What would my higher self be wearing? And do the clothes that you already have align with what your higher self would be wearing? And if not, can you take some time this month to donate or let go of any clothes that do not align with your higher self, and actually replace some of those things, or all of those things, with clothes that are going to be a fit for your higher self? Now, this isn't about how much money your clothes cost. This isn't about certain designers. This isn't about any of that. This is about how you feel when you get dressed, and how you feel when you look in the mirror, and how you feel when you see yourself in your clothes. Wear clothes that make you feel like your best self. Wear clothes that make you feel confident. Wear clothes that express who you are. And again, wear clothes that align with where you're going. Like, if you're deciding that you're gonna start moving your body more intentionally, it might be worth it to actually create space in your wardrobe where you have clothes that you like wearing to work out in. I did that when I was really getting serious about working out. I specifically bought workout outfits that I liked, that I felt confident in, that felt good and fit my body and everything, so that I could confidently go to the gym. Going to the gym in a random t-shirt and random shorts or random leggings wasn't going to work for me. I knew that I needed to feel like my highest self. I needed to feel confident. And I think no matter what it is, because you've been going through these steps, what your higher self wants. You know how your higher self lives. You know the job that they have. You know how they go about their everyday life. And I want you to really ask yourself, what do they sleep in? What do they work out in? What do they wear to work? All these things. And make sure that your wardrobe is actually in alignment with what your higher self would be wearing. The second to last tip is to make sure that you are getting on a healthy page with your money, and really to make sure that your money is supporting you. So a lot of times we spend money from a place of obligation, out of habit. We spend money because we want to keep up with the Joneses. We spend money because we want to look a certain way. But none of that is actually supporting you in creating the life that you want. That's why we started this whole episode with authenticity first and fulfillment first, because your money should be going to places that authentically matter to you. And so you could even use that same prompt of like, if no one knew how I was spending my money, how would I be spending my money? But even beyond that, like, what really matters to you, and can you make sure that your money is going to those places? Like, for some people, fashion really matters to them. For other people, food really matters to them. And so you might have a higher grocery bill than someone who doesn't really care about food, because you're making sure that you get the organic stuff, you're making sure that you get like the in-season vegetables and all the things that might cost more money, and someone else who doesn't really care about that is not going to spend the money on that. Meanwhile, if the person really cares about fashion, they're going to spend more money every month, quarter, whatever. I'm not really the fashion person, but like the fashion person is going to have higher bills related to paying for clothes because they like to invest in their wardrobe and they like to invest in fashion. And what I really want you to do is to get clear on like what actually matters to you. And have you been spending money on things that do not matter to you? And if so, why? You know, like I said, I'm not really a fashion person. If I looked at my bank statement and I saw that I had a bunch of money going to clothes, I would be like, what's going on here? And not from a place of judging myself, not from a place of like, what's wrong with you? How could you do this? Blah, blah, blah. Not from a place of regret, but just from a place of like, I think we can do better. I wonder what else is possible here. Could I be doing something differently? And if so, how? And so this works in terms of making purchases. This also works in terms of like bigger financial planning, you know? If you are a person who wants to make sure that you have a solid retirement, if you are a person who wants to make sure that you are saving up for bigger purchases that you're going to make later on in life, how can you make sure that your money is going to those goals rather than going to things that don't really matter to you? And this is really something that I want you to start thinking about, regardless of how much money that you have, because no matter what the numbers are specifically, there's always room to be spending money from a place of love and compassion and in a way that really feels like self-care. And there's always the opportunity to be spending money from a place of obligation or from a place of pressure. And you just don't need to. Like internally, this is all internal. This isn't about the numbers. This is literally like internally, how do you feel when you move money around? Whether it's when you make a purchase, when you save, when you do whatever it is that you might do, when you invest, how do you feel? And can you make it a priority this month to start using your money to support the person that you want to be and to support your goals, and to stop, on the other hand, spending money on stuff that doesn't really matter? Like, I don't know, for me, if for whatever reason I went out one night and I had spent like $500 on just like food and alcohol and all this stuff, I probably wouldn't love that. Like, I would probably have to like process that the next day and realize that that wasn't a way of actually supporting and honoring my higher self. And that's really all that this is like, how can I use money in a way that supports and honors my highest self, and in a way that is authentic to the kind of person that I really want to be? So that's something that you want to definitely be thinking about this month. And then the final thing that I want you to practice. Now, this is specific because I'm putting this out in December, but you can do this at any time of year, is to use generosity to cultivate an abundance mindset. No matter what your goals are, you need to have an abundance mindset in order to achieve anything. The abundance mindset is about money, but it's also about so many other things. And really what it means is knowing that you have more than enough, knowing that you are taken care of, letting go of that idea of like, things are running out and there isn't enough for me, and am I going to be okay? And all of that like grippy, clingy, like scarcity thinking, and being willing to like relax and remember that you are supported, that you are safe, that you are abundant, and that you're taken care of. And again, that there is way more than enough to go around, and there is enough for you. And so in December, it is common to give a lot of gifts, and it is also common to make donations. And I want you to use this as a way to supercharge your abundance mindset. So one of the things that I like to do in December is I make donations, and I specifically make donations based on the amount of money that I've made. So if I've made, let's say I made $100,000 in this past year, a certain percent of that is going to be donated in December. And the reason that I do this is because I love the idea that I get to use a fraction of my income to uplift someone else or to support something that means a lot to me. So one of the things I did yesterday actually was I donated to a scholarship fund from a scholarship that I actually received when I was in high school. And so I gave back and put some money into that scholarship fund. I also donated to a church that means a lot to me. They're doing their year-end offering. And then later this month, I'm going to be buying Christmas gifts for a kid who is in need. And those are going to be my donations, but I've already decided like a certain percentage of my income is going to go towards these donations. And the way that this cultivates an abundance mindset is it is reminding me that I have been so blessed to have more than enough to take care of myself and also to be able to uplift and support and be generous to somebody else. And I'm doing it with that consciousness. I'm literally saying, as I am pressing pay and as I am doing the online donation, I'm literally saying I am so happy that I have this much to give. I am so grateful that I'm able to give this amount, and I'm letting it mean a lot to me that I've been blessed and that I am able to bless others. They say that the world of the generous gets larger and larger, but I also want to point out here that if you are giving or donating or anything from a place of like obligation or social pressure, it's not actually going to work for you. The way that the world of the generous gets larger and larger is if you do it with an abundance mindset, and if you remind yourself, I am blessed, and because I am blessed, I am able to actually bless others. It's really training yourself to see yourself as a blessed and abundant person and letting that translate into your giving. And same if you're buying people gifts. So when I buy gifts for people, I actually used to do this in a spreadsheet. Like last year, I literally had a spreadsheet. Now it just kind of comes naturally. But when I buy gifts for people, I also do it with a lot of gratitude. I remind myself, I am so blessed that I'm able to pour, even if it's like a little bit of money. It doesn't have to be this big extravagant thing I'm buying for someone, but even if it's $5, I am so blessed that I am able to have extra money to buy something that doesn't even benefit me, to buy something that's just for the sake of being kind, being generous, of giving to somebody else. And of course it's nice to be able to give something to your loved ones and to know that you're doing something that's going to really benefit them, especially if it's someone who you know well and you're getting them a gift that you know they're going to love. But I also want you to use this as an opportunity to cultivate your abundance mindset and to remember, like, this is something that I can do because of how much I have. This is something that I can do because I am blessed, because I am abundant. And when you do it from this consciousness of like, I am so abundant that I can give to other people. I am so abundant that I can use my money to buy things for other people. It reminds your brain, it reminds your nervous system, it reminds you that you're taken care of, you've got this, you're supported, and that support is not just with money, but that support is with everything that matters to you. You're supported in achieving your goals. You're supported in being who you want to be. You're supported in creating your dream life. You're supported in everything that's important. And when you remind yourself of this, just with that simple act of like swiping your card and being grateful that you have the money to do something nice for other people, it gives you that extra boost and it just completely changes everything. Like if you do this consistently, it will change your relationship with yourself. It will transform your self-concept just like it did for me. Before we end this video, I would be completely remiss if I didn't say, in order to really get this done, because I know this is a long video, we've literally been here for 45 minutes. In order to get all of this done, you are going to have to set boundaries. You're going to have to be very focused. You cannot be sleeping in until noon and binge watching hours and hours of television and doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter if you are going to actually reset your life in a month. In order to reset your life in a month, you have to be disciplined. You have to be willing to say no to stuff that is not on this list. And that doesn't mean that like you spend 24 hours a day working or you spend 24 hours a day doing self-improvement, but it does mean that you get to be discerning about what gets your focus and your attention and what doesn't. And if you notice that something is draining, if you notice that something is not worth your time, if you notice that something is not actually moving you in the direction that you want to go, it's kind of like snip energy. Like you have to be willing to just get super focused, get your blinders on, and not let your energy be drained by things that do not contribute to you growing and to you healing and to you transforming. This is a very special period of time. It's not like all the other months of the year. And I want you to start reminding yourself, if you're really going to do a reset month, like, this is set aside, this is sacred, this is something intentional, this is an investment in yourself, this is an investment in your future, this is an investment in becoming the version of yourself that you know you can be. And oftentimes the reason that you're not already your future self is because of these little energy leaks, these things that you're doing, whether it's the way you're spending your time, the way you're spending your money, the way that you're spending your energy, the choices that you're making throughout the day. It's those little things that keep you rooted in your past self versus allowing you to expand and step forward into your future self. So let this reset month be a challenge for you to continue choosing from the place of your future self, of your highest self, instead of choosing what your past self would choose. Because you already know the result of what your past self would choose. You're living in the result of what your past self would choose. And this isn't to say that your life sucks and that you should hate your life. I think you should absolutely love your life. But if you want to change, if you want to make your life better, you have to start making better choices. And so the last thing is like a bonus tip: set boundaries, prioritize, and focus on the things that are going to actually move you forward this month. So that's it for me. This is going to be an amazing month if you do all 7 of these things. Let me know if you do, and let me know how your life has transformed over the next year because you took a month of your life to really root in, ground in, and get oriented. I love you so much, and I will see you again very soon in another episode. Take care.